going on, guys? Clover Crypto here. Just wanted to give you a quick review of some of the higher risk Tron Dapps and some of my experience with some of those. I wanted to do an update video because I got into a lot of these, about a dozen or so of them, and give you an update on some of my progress and where I see this moving forward. So if you're looking at, like, if you kind of go back, I mean, Ether Chain really kind of started this. I mean, there's been several before that, but Ether Chain really started something, and then they came out with their Tron Chain Dapp because the Ether Chain just wasn't going to be sustainable on Ethereum. And then once they came out on Tron, it was doing really well, and then I feel it brought a lot of attention to a lot of the ROI Dapps, and it was something that I feel like was a little bit of a phase. And one of the things that we saw really come out of that was Tron EX, which just exploded. It became the #1 Dapp in the world for about a week, and the amount of money that was flowing through that contract was crazy. So I made a considerable amount of money in that contract, about 40,000 Tron or so. I mean, at the time that I did my video, the rate of return that I was making was about $1,000 a day. So it was, it was really, really good to see that. However, these are very high risk, and so I was taking a lot of my profits, and I wanted to try out a lot of different ROI Dapps. I just, I got away from some of the gambling Dapps on Tron, and I saw this as a gamble. I just wanted to give it a shot. Now, the way I feel is that I would have made money in all of these contracts had they been legitimate. They didn't do some sort of rug pull or have some sort of huge withdrawals at different times. And that's what we saw with a lot of them, and almost all of them now are gone. And that's one of the things that I mentioned with this. None of these are sustainable. They're ROI Dapps by nature are unsustainable, and they're ultimately Ponzi's. But you can see one such as Tron Chain has been doing really, really well. It's continuing to grow. It has a lower payout, a more transparent person in charge. We actually see a face and a name and somebody that's communicating with the community. With a lot of these other ones, they are not. Now, I wish I had had the resource at hand before I got into some of these with DefiAudits. So I've gotten in their Telegram group and chatted with them a little bit. I'll put the link in the description below. But this is a great resource for you guys. I feel this would be one to check, and with some of the newer projects. One of the things that's great is he's taken a look at a lot of the newer projects that are out there that are trending, and just really doing a basic review to see if there's an exit code, to see, just kind of, briefly look over the code and give developers' point of view on whether or not this is a legitimate project. And he's been spot on several ones that I lost several thousand Tron on that, had some sort of exit function, and ultimately I was unable to ROI before they exited. So there was several of those that happened, unfortunately. Overall, I'm still in the green, but not by much, and some of these other ones are I may end up losing money on that I'm still in, that are still running. So if that happens, then overall I will not have made money on this. So that's one of the things that I'm looking at, is like, are these ROI Dapps, are they worth it? I mean, there's certain ones that come through from time to time that may have some opportunity. I'm certainly not putting a whole lot into these anymore. I mean, I was putting well over 10,000 Tron into a lot of these, and taking some big risks, and withdrawing every day because that was important. But I didn't do as well on some of them because they didn't last even a month. So I don't see a lot of these ROI Dapps as having a whole lot of real solid opportunity, unless something like a Tron EX comes around, like something kind of like that really catches on and catches fire. But I don't know if we're going to see one quite like that for quite some time. And I feel like you will see a lot of things start to move in some of the other areas. And I'm covering this on my other channel. I just did a long review of all of the projects that I'm in that they're probably medium to low risk projects on IOST, Tron, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. So I've left a link to that video in the description below, and encourage you guys to check that out. But let me just go through some of these. Like Tron Chain is the one that I have by far the most amount of money in, and that is the only one that is really doing well. And I was taking a lot of my profits and experimenting with some of these other ROI Dapps. And you know, I've already ROI'd in Tron Chain. I don't know if it's necessarily a good time to get in. If you are going to get in, it's best to get in through our group. We have a group where we have found the most efficient way to put Tron into that contract because of the way that it's designed. You essentially need to set up 15 accounts, so you're going to have your primary account and then 14 accounts underneath you that unlocks all of the levels below you, and the rate of return we've been able to get is anywhere from 3 to 5% as opposed to 1% per day. So you're getting your money back a lot faster, and so I don't know if we have as many people getting into the chain anymore, but if you are going to get into Tron Chain, that's the way that I would get into it, you know, as opposed to some of the other methods, because your rate of return is going to be better when you incorporate the community element in that way. So like I said, you know, I did fairly well in Tron EX. Nanotron was the one that I believe I lost the most money in. So that one, you know, was number 3 or number 4 on Dapp radar at one point. It seemed to be fairly legit, and so again, I even mentioned this in my previous video. You can't really take a lot of the, you know, Dapp radar stats or even Dapp reviews, the other one that I take a look at, because those stats can be manipulated, and sometimes they just do that to bring attention to their contract, and then they exit. So you know, had I maybe looked at an audit report or something of that nature that was able to see if that was a function, then perhaps I wouldn't have gotten into that contract. But you know, so I lost, you know, I put about 30,000 Tron in and lost about 20,000, so I was able to get about 10,000 Tron back, but took a pretty big hit in that. That was probably the one I took the biggest hit in. D-Tron, I only put like 1,000 Tron into D-Tron, and that was the one that came after, I believe it was Tron EX. I think it was another version of like Tron, well, I can't remember if that one was, I believe it was Tron EX. It was like another one, and I didn't know how I felt about that. I only put 1,000 Tron in, and the way the referral system was set up, it was like that was manipulated. So that ended up basically dying in like less than a day or two. So that one didn't work very well. I got into my Tron bank. I made ended up losing a lot of money in that one as well. The rate of the return was not as great. They waited for that contract to build in value, and then they rug pulled. So, you know, unfortunately that happens with these types of projects, and it's just an inherent risk. And I think some of the audit reports, had I had access to that, would have identified some of these things. Forever Tron was one I made money in. It died really, really quickly, and so there was perhaps maybe some illegitimate stuff going on there. But I ended up making like 10,000 Tron in that. So you know, and then they like relaunched, and I know they've like relaunched again. I never got into the second or the third versions of that. There were like, you know, typographical errors on the website, so it wasn't, you know, giving me a whole lot of confidence with that. But I don't think that one had an exit function. I think that it was an actual, like, you know, the contract was legitimate for what it was supposed to be. So you know, you had a better chance, you know, to do well in that contract. Then I got into EcoDex as well as Exatron. Both those rug pulled around the same time, and you know, that was unfortunate. I had a considerable amount. I put about 20,000 Tron into EXA Tron, and you know, I got about you know, about 2/3 of it back before they exited. So like, it's important with some of these. You want to, like, don't take that hold bonus and just, you know, you want to withdraw every single day. I didn't do that with EcoDex because of the way that it was the contract was designed. Was there was a hold bonus, but a very significant hold bonus, like went up by like 1% a day, 1% a day. So I was waiting for that to get to a certain point, but the contract was growing, and then just they just took all the money. Website went offline, Telegram group disappeared, and so, you know, like those types of experiences make me not want to get into these, and it makes it it's not really that enjoyable. I don't like having to deal with some of those. I felt that there was some opportunity with some of these to have some sustainability. They just didn't end up doing that because a lot of these, more than half ended up basically having some of these issues and problems. Tron Hybrid was another one. There was a huge withdrawal from that, a big drop, which basically killed the contract. That could have been illegitimate. I'm not really sure. So, all of those have, are gone now, and I lost money. Overall, I made money when you look at the overall picture, but you lose in one, you make money in another, and unfortunately that's where it is. So I'm not in that many right now. Two of the ones that I'm in are so I'm in 5. So I'm in Finitron, Tron Matrix. Both of the balances in those contracts is going down, and I feel as though I will not reach ROI. I'm pretty close in Tron Matrix, but looks like I'm going to lose quite a bit of money in Finitron because that one just fell off a cliff lately, which was interesting because the audit report gave that one a very good score, and so it's really strange to see such a huge drop in the contract balance. They haven't died yet, but if you're in those, you want to make sure to withdraw as often as you can to mitigate any losses on those. Add-on Bank was another one I just got into. Just threw a few thousand Tron into that, and just recently saw the website. It's not online. What was cool about that one is you did have the opportunity to dissolve the contract. And so if you know how to work with TronScan, you can get in there and just end the contract. And so that's what I did. You take like a 15% fee and you get a certain amount of your deposit back. So, I lost probably a little bit of money in that, but they were like online for a couple of days and then the website's gone. So I don't know. I didn't, they could come back. I just don't trust it at this point, and I'm going to be putting my money into other types of projects. If I am going to put money into higher risk types of projects, I'm not sure if the ROI Dapps is where I would be going. There are some farming opportunities, like one that I got into that I would consider a high risk farming Dapp was this Nort.finance. It is having some issues and problems. I don't know if it's going to come back, but that was one that I consider like in the high risk category. And so we'll see how that goes. Right now, I've been able to withdraw tokens from that, and that's about it. So we'll see. Tron 3X is one that I only have like 500 Tron in that, but that one is it's still going up, so that one's still doing well. It's basically a clone of Tron Chain. And Aurora Credit is the last one. I just recently got into that one. That one is kind of it's under like the DeFi category, but it's basically a different type of ROI Dapp. And you're putting in loans or that sort of thing. What I've noticed with Aurora Credit is the energy costs on that are probably the highest that I've seen of any of these types of Dapps because of perhaps all of the different things that it's doing in the background. So the audit report came back on that, looks okay, but that one is, it's again high risk, and I'm not going to be putting more than a few thousand Tron into these from now on. If you are looking to take a risk and get into some of these, I'll leave some of the links to the ones I feel have some of the best opportunity below, and I'm going to also give updates on my Clover channel Telegram group, which is public. I also from time to time update people in my private group from different things I'm seeing in the space. So if you guys are interested in those, I've left the links in the description below for those. But yeah, those are the ones that I think that if I'm going to be getting into the DeFi audits, I'm going to be or the ROI Dapps, I'm going to be wanting to get into ones that have a little bit of an audit where they've been able to determine if there's no exit functions in those or not. And so that's I think where I'm going to go with this channel, with these types of Dapps here in the future. I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts. Let me know what you think in the description below. If you found this helpful, certainly be sure to give me a like, and I'll be giving you guys updates here in the near future on these, as I find ones that look like have a little bit of opportunity. But I'm probably going to be focusing more on some of the medium to low risk projects, which I talk about on my main channel. All right, guys, appreciate you sticking through the video, and be sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.